Good morning. You're watching Morning at NTV. Time for us to take note. Yes, we are going to get very uncomfortable. So if I were you, I'd grab something hot to drink, okay, cold to drink in this case, and get closer and closer. I think months ago, most of actually last year, if I'm not mistaken, there was a big campaign and a few people took advantage of this to get their name across. But those who did well, good for you. And you went through different parts of the country and said, how can we get things like pads accessible to young girls? Because in most villages, people are using clothes and just putting them together, then you wash it, then you dry it. But what about infections? Or how about teaching young girls that it's not a curse to have your period? In fact, if anything, it's a good thing you are having your period. So some young people have a campaign and we're here to talk about it. I'm joined by Sandra Katz, who's the creative director. My period is awesome. And then we have Shaka Luanyaga Farid, who's the founder of the Wellbeing Foundation. I really should have worn an NTV t-shirt because they came prepared, dressed like good marketeers and salesmen. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Morning at NTV.
Thank you.
It's very rare that at this time in the morning we discuss things like periods, menstruation. But I think when is a good time?
Yeah, true.
It's always a good time.
True.
So I think I'll start with you, Shaka. When I got a call, I actually thought well-being was about, you know, like meditation, pusa, and some yoga. Turns out, no, it's more of the mind. You're trying to help us be better citizens. Just tell us about the Wellbeing Foundation.
The Wellbeing Foundation is a foundation by a group of young Ugandans.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say Ugandans because we're having Nigerian now.
Okay, so it's just young
young
people.
Africans.
Yes.
Trying to share their stories with other young people with less privileged backgrounds, young people who have lost hope, who have lost the self-worth. You know, when you have society telling you you can't be this because you come from this kind of background, you can't be this because you're this kind of person, you lose all the worth in you and the belief in yourself, and that's what kills it. You feel like you start listening to what people are telling you you are and you can be, and forget what you are worth, because we are all created to succeed. Definitely. We are all created to be well. So that's what the well-being is about. It started about 3 years back, and it was just like an initiative, like it was a way of sharing our stories. In like we started with schools, like schools, less privileged schools, to tell kids like, you know what, no one can tell you because you're in this kind of school, because your parent has never been to university, that you can't be. Then we realized at least there were people who really needed this. These were the kids on the streets, kids in the ghetto.
Is there value for that? Because I feel like most of our society, there's a bigger chunk of people who didn't come from very privileged families or backgrounds. So I would think they're fine. They didn't really need a pep talk to tell them that they're fine. Was there a need when you got on ground for this?
Yeah, actually we have like stories where we have examples of success stories. I have a shirt that I got from a kid who was on the streets, and after listening to us, because we always tell them, look for that one thing that you can do every single morning. Yes. And you'll love it and you'll be happy with it, even if you're not getting paid.
Okay.
Because the first step is to be happy, then payment comes in.
That's what we,
Tough one.
Yeah.
But it's true. It's true. Your passion actually, if you follow it, somehow the money is at the end.
Yeah. Because me, myself, I think one thing I love is smiling, and all I do is go share my smile.
Okay. So you said young people started this. Yeah. I'm wondering what was unique about these young people. Was it that you guys had a tough time? Was it that your stories were unique to each other for you to decide to, you know, impact society like this?
Actually, as a person, it was a time I was going into a transformation. I was discovering myself. I had just come back from Dar es Salaam I had gone to do a course in science and leadership in transforming institutions. Okay. And when I came back, I realized, like me, myself, I had to find myself. I got so much interest in the human mind and why I do the things I do. Yes. This is the time I quit alcohol. I was on pills and what, so I was in a transformation myself. Yeah. I discovered that I loved smiling. That's all I wanted to do all my life. I wanted to smile and be happy. And I was like, how about I share this? So
is this how you're becoming a leader? You said science and leadership. Is this a way of being a leader? Kudos to you. That's a good thing. Yeah, I like that. You know, the other day I had a young man here who was saying he's shaping the leaders of Africa. And I said, I wonder what defines a leader. I wonder what kind of leaders we're going to have in the future. And I think he sort of mentioned that it's not what the old school version of a leader looked like in a suit, you know, it's all tied up and serious. Nowadays, a leader is a young man with shades holding a bottle of something, just chilling. You know, and that's somebody with masters and a PhD. So I think that has changed. So kudos to you. So Sandra, you're from
Sweden.
Sweden, actually. So how long have you been in Uganda?
It's been 2 weeks.
2 weeks. How do you like it?
I love it. I love it. Really, I do.
So you've come with a big message.
Yes.
You found that Uganda is already having a discussion around menstruation. It's quite sad that a lot of our young girls cannot afford to have pads at their disposal. Their parents can't afford it, so the discussion isn't even there.
Yeah.
And we're going around. I think there was actually a lady who came here and she had made pads out of sugarcane material or something like that. So good stuff. You know, we're starting to go a long way.
Or banana fibers even.
Imagine. I haven't seen that, but I need to see that. But you're not from Uganda, so what's the conversation elsewhere about menstruation?
Well, in Sweden, we came very, very far. Like, we still have like a lot more to be done.
Yes.
But we came, like, it's an open subject to be talked about. And I think that's what like has to start here, like to be open to talk about it within families, schools, communities, relationships, everything. To open, talk about it, and then like see where we can go from there.
You're saying open, but like let's say you said family, in relationships, even schools, I'm guessing. What kind of open conversations would I expect to have in the family setting, for example?
I think it should be a normal subject for even the dad and the daughter to talk about, especially between like the sisters and brothers. But from what I've seen, and it's not my first time in Uganda, like it's a women's subject, it's a female subject. Like the guys don't have to know about it or talk about it, but it concerns them a lot. So I think it's time to like for everyone to talk about it. We're like a movement. We want to do a change. We've been working in Sweden. We have Namibia, South Africa, now Uganda. Then hopefully like to just go bigger and bigger.
I think we're talking off air and saying that as much as it's a woman discussion, the men should be involved. So I wonder how, for example, let's say the father and daughter, because a father has not any business. I mean, obviously they do have business knowing about this, but what do they know? What should they know?
But they need to know because they make the babies.
Yes.
So they should be
but
very
they're
aware.
Clueless.
But it's amazing. How can you be clueless? Like, I don't really understand.
I mean, they know the process, the egg, and but they wouldn't know how to help their daughter when they're having a period. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I really know what you mean. But I think that's, like, we have to talk to men and women, fathers and mothers, everyone, from when they're young, like to change from a younger age. Because I know sometimes with the older generation, it's maybe more difficult. But we're working with the younger generation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe just for Sandra to help us also understand this. When we say menstruation, we're not just saying the bleeding.
No, the whole everything.
So just help us with everything so we can know. Yes, just help us define what that everything is. So if you were to talk about menstruation versus just talking about the bleeding.
Like what age it starts, what age it ends, about menopause, how many days you have it, what exactly happens in the body, good ways to kill the pain, and what you should do when you're on it. Should you exercise? Shouldn't you exercise? Stuff like that. Should you rest? What should you use? What's better, daytime, nighttime?
Whoa.
Yeah, a
There's
lot.
Even that.
Yeah.
I know this. I'm very sure Shaka is here for this, so he knows these conversations, which is a good thing. At least you're representing the men.
Yeah.
But so you're not uncomfortable having this conversation?
No, not really. Not at all,
Not
actually.
at all.
Yeah. Because I have a story that like inspired me to know more.
Okay.
There are some, like I said, like I want to spread my happiness. And when I was starting this, I was in northern Uganda in a patch.
Yes.
So I have a tendency of moving out of Kampala. I go to like a place I've never been to, like Mushenyi or what and stuff. And I get a family and I'm like, you know, I need somewhere to stay and what. It's my way of getting to know how people behave in communities and what. It's a habit I started when I got interested in people's behavior. So I stayed with this nice family, loving family for a whole weekend. And by Monday, we were friends with the kids.
Good.
I love kids. Like, I live my life as a kid. So I connect
You should
so
see
much.
his shoes, but that's a story for another day.
So I connect so much with the kids.
Yeah.
So Monday, these kids had to go to school. They walk
Yeah.
like 6 kilometers. So I was walking with them, and the girl disappeared. It was a boy, 9-year-old, and his sister, like 12. The girl
Yeah.
disappeared. I asked the boy, "Where's your sister?" Like, you know, I don't know, something is happening to her. So she hides in the bush like the whole day. So I got concerned. I looked for the girl. Finding the girl was in the bush. She had dug a hole. She was squatting there. She didn't know what was happening to her. She didn't know who to ask. And the brother didn't know anything, of course. He was making fun of her, like, did you steal something? Did you abuse someone?
Someone
got cursed
cursed you.
Like when daddy gets to know. I was like, wow. So I got really concerned. Like, I was shocked. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to tell the girl. And going back to her home, like, the mother was even shy to hear me talk about it. And like,
So the mother knew what was happening to her body, but she just
Don't talk about it.
Yeah.
don't talk
Yeah.
about it. Like, so it's
imagine that.
I
Like,
got
it's
really touched.
embarrassing.
Yeah. So when I came back to Kampala, I was like, wow. That's when in well-being we started to do it like a girl. Was like, you're not going to empower anyone. You're not going to tell anyone to believe in themselves. If girls cannot go to school,
Yeah.
if girls think something is abnormal about them, if women cannot go to work the whole month as men do
Yeah.
during their menstruation. So
Yeah,
we needed
because you
to-
lose a lot of productivity because
Yeah.
you're tired, your
Yeah.
body's going through a lot.
Especially if you're told you're supposed to just lay down and relax, which you're not
Should we
supposed
not?
to do. Yeah.
I'm like, Sandra, we should. We should rest. In fact, if anything, give us free like 4 days in a month.
With
What you were
just chocolate.
saying. Yeah, yes.
Yeah. So that's the campaign that Shaka is talking about, Do It Like a Girl, and that's when we're actually teaming up. My Period is Awesome
Oh,
and the
yes.
Wellbeing Foundation. So we're working together because we really believe in working with the locals. Like, we don't have the answers. We're not coming to give the answers.
Yes.
We're coming to listen and then to start something from
Yeah.
there.
So before we come to the case of Uganda, you've had sort of success. You said Namibia?
South
And,
Africa.
yes. So what campaign, what did you do in that campaign and what were the successes?
So what we came up to there is like we're working with the menstrual cups that even you actually
Yes,
told me you heard about,
I've seen, I've been explained to, and I think I'm like, whew.
but I haven't tried yet.
No, exactly, haven't tried yet. Because
Yeah.
I'm not sure if, because I kept asking questions, if you're heavy flow, if you're less flow, is it for everybody? Is it hygienic? You know, different questions, but naturally I should ask.
Of course, I'm also not using them. Like, everyone has to find their preferences.
Yes.
And that's what we should have the option to do, not coming with just one thing. Or you should have an
Yes.
option, maybe have 4 or 5 things to use within. That's what we have in Europe. So, like, why shouldn't it be like that here?
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I've been wondering the background with the menstrual cups. Was it a more affordable product? Was it a more sustainable product?
Both,
Okay.
actually, both. And for the environment, if you see what happens in the world now, then it's like a more sustainable product.
Ah.
And affordable, like, we spend a lot of money on pads and tampons. They're very expensive. And in Uganda, they're very expensive.
Telling you.
Like, what? You're importing them, I guess. So, like, the prices are very high. It's not so reasonable, maybe, especially for girls from the slums and stuff.
They can't. They can't even have a discussion around
Yeah.
pads. They're using clothes. I'm telling you, I've seen this. And they
Yes.
wash it out and leave it anywhere in the sun. And the next
dry.
month, they're using the same
The
thing. And
same.
of course, our bodies are very prone to infections around that time. So if you're living your life that way, because I was actually being told that some of these girls, they're growing up this way. And before you know it, at about 25, they're trying to have a child and they're not able to. They're having complications because of something happened naturally to their body.
Yeah.
They just did not know how
They
to
don't know.
take care of themselves. Let me ask you, for Do It Like a Girl campaign, who do we talk to? Because if you're talking to my mother who has to tell me, it's an easier transition, in my mind, it's an easier transition. Or do you feel like you should just talk directly to the girl?
Both, but that's why it's so good we're working with them, because they actually have contact with the local leaders in places.
Okay.
And usually it's like older women who kids really listen to.
Yes, yes.
So I
yes.
think that's a good way to start, but also to the girls directly. I understand your question. It's tough. I'm not sure about the answer. It should be everyone and everything, so I don't know.
Yeah. So if you're going in communities, first of all, let's just talk about the Do It Like a Girl campaign. When you said Do It Like a Girl, what are we saying?
Do It Like a Girl came from the fact that, you know, as you grow up, even like a boy, anything you do wrong or like any weak character you show or what, like don't act like a girl.
Oh, yes.
Toughen up, be a man.
Toughen
Be a
up,
man,
right?
Yes.
So like do it like a girl come up to say like, no, like being a girl is beautiful.
Yeah.
Like being
It's
a
not
girl
weak.
is
Be a
confident.
girl, be a
is
woman.
strong. Like
Yeah.
be
Actually,
a woman.
to be honest, we should say be like a girl.
Yeah, true.
It's a new expression.
So
Yeah,
it's
we go through a lot.
Yeah.
We go through a lot. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. So who are you targeting?
We are targeting mainly like because we see like confidence and like self-belief is mainly when you with situations that are disadvantaged, like homeless girls and what. Because we are mainly working with the slums in Kisenyi.
Okay.
Because at first we were being focused in kids in school to tell them like, but then we realized like these ones at least have teachers. They have an
Somebody
opportunity
to talk to.
Yeah, they have an opportunity to go to school.
Yeah.
If we really want to transform like African young people, let's go to those because everyone needs an education, but it's not like formal education is the only way.
No.
You
There's
could
a
j-
big chunk of
to-
out of school.
yeah.
So many.
So like right now, our target is those people who really have less access or least access to information.
Oh, okay.
And with this menstrual campaign, we are trying to bring everyone together. People like you in the media, artists.
Not excluding people.
Not excluding
Good.
anyone, leaders, everyone who has a voice. And even like people in the community themselves. She has been to the slums in Chisenyi. She like,
How was the experience?
wow, like,
Intense.
it was
It's like
intense.
Intense. Like,
So that's our target. Everyone who has least knowledge. And our focus is those homeless girls.
Okay.
Because at least for them, they don't even have where to shower from.
where to sleep.
Where
Like,
to
where do you
sleep,
start?
Like, where do you start? Like,
That's where the whole mindset comes in. Because we can focus on menstrual hygiene, of course, it's one of the things,
Yeah.
but it's so much broader than that.
Yeah.
It's a wide subject.
That actually changes everything because if you come to somebody in school, they've already come from a home, they've had a shower from home, they have a bed to go to. The conversation is now slightly different. You're saying less, sort of. You're telling them to take care of themselves, you're telling them to dress a certain way, whereas somebody who doesn't even have clothes to
The
change.
girls pay to shower, they pay to go to the bathroom, and these public bathrooms where it's like 30 people and you want to like keep clean, it's not so easy.
Wow.
Yeah.
But how do we help those though?
the first step, I think, you know, if you have like 100 problems.
Because now you don't go to those ones selling pads. You don't.
No,
go
we
to
don't
them-
s-
you
yeah,
don't
no.
even give them
No.
pads.
No,
You can't just
it's-
stop at handing
it's-
somebody like that a pad and walking away.
Yeah.
I think it's about starting discussion, listening to them,
To them.
being there for them,
Yes.
spending time with them, because time is so valuable, more than money, just going and giving things. To be there and listen to them, I think we start there.
Yeah. So you had already worked actually with out of school groups. Is it going to be harder? I know you're going to talk to the girls, and that's going to be easy because the girls want to listen because they feel like it's a problem and they need some sort of solution. So it's good to have a conversation. What about the boys and the men? In Chisenyi, it's going to be a tougher conversation.
We've also been talking to them. We were last there Friday. The whole of this month and last month,
Yes.
we've been going there, like listening, finding
Interviewing,
out,
actually,
interviewing, like
also.
the boys, from the boys who are homeless. What do they know about menstruation? What do
Yes.
they think about girls menstruating?
Wow.
The answers are crazy and interesting.
And they often lead to sex,
Yeah.
with the boys at least.
What?
Yeah, they often lead to.
They can't have a conversation on menstruation unless
Yeah.
it also involves sex. Oh, dear Lord.
So
Oh, dear Lord.
It's a tough one, but the good thing I see, the very interesting thing is like when these conversations start, they start thinking about it.
Yes.
It opens something.
It opens something. The next time you go back, if they have thought about something.
And
they
they have
have
questions.
They have
and-
questions.
Oh, yeah.
So
Right.
it's very interesting. And I think this is the start for the girls themselves to know, like, oh, someone is trying to make us comfortable and also make us, the environment around us, comfortable.
Yes.
So it goes back to the mind. They start to feel worth. And they're like, okay, how do I keep myself clean? How do I?
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
questions start coming in.
Because if you're using those cloths and stuff, people will know you're on your period. You smell, you stain, like, and the guys would make fun of you. It's terrible. Like, it's difficult with the hygiene.
My period is awesome. I think when we're talking for the break, you told me that it should be normal. for us to have a conversation around menstruation, but it's not normal for us to have a conversation about periods. When there was, I think it was the start of the year, there was a conversation around how different corporate organizations can come together to pool money and resources and then for people to supply pads to these underprivileged homes at a lower cost, right? And I'm on the same view, and I said, is that the answer? You understand? Because you can't sustain people giving you money for pads. Now, I'm not knocking the people who are actually going to give pads, but I was saying, can you maintain that? Because a period, like you were saying, the conversation isn't around me just bleeding. It's around the fact that from this age to this age, I have my period. That's a long time until I get menopause. Can you actually give me pads for all those years? The answer is no. You understand? So are we giving them solutions? And I like what you said, give them many options so that they can still pick. But even the options cost money. You understand? What is your sort of dream, hope of a solution in terms of that? Like products, like because I know there's a country that did it where the government actually put the government of that was giving out free pads. And I said, maybe that's sustainable in that country, but I don't know how that can change in the future.
It's a difficult question. I don't have the answer, but something that's sustainable even after My Period is Awesome leaves, or Sweden leaves, or the finance leaves. Like, Uganda is a country full of resources. It must be something that maybe can start from within. If it's making from banana fibers,
let's do it.
Like something like that.
Yes. Like we have banana plantations. Let's do it. Everyone donate.
I don't know.
You know, something that's very at our disposal from Posho, guys. Think big. Think big and give us something. That's true. You know, I think we need a product that we know we're not going to worry about cost. We're not going to worry about, you know, what quality of the product, because you can't just say once the solution is give pads to every girl. It's not going to work.
No, it's like giving condoms away and hoping like that will help like all the diseases. No, you have to talk about it.
Definitely. So do it like a girl campaign. If somebody's watching and they're saying, okay, so wait, how do I join this awesome group?
On Thursday we are inviting like artists, and because we really think artists and media people are the best communicators.
Big voice, they reach such a
big voice, and like community
and it's international
leaders, and local leaders too. So everyone in their capacity is invited for the launch on Thursday at the Design Hub. It's starting at 4 p.m. So this is when we're going to hear everyone out. We're going to even have some girls from the slums and what, so that day we are going to come up with an idea of a proposed campaign that we want to run for 2 years. And this campaign is aimed at making menstruation normal. Like you say, there's really no sustainable solution we have, but if you hear different challenges and different ideas from different people, so maybe
by the starting point.
By the end of 2 years, maybe we will have an idea on what we can do for everyone to be comfortable with that period.
And if you can't come, follow us on social media, our journey, My Period is Awesome, Wellbeing Foundation, and see what's like going on. And
fantastic. Sandra Katz from My Period is Awesome, and Shaka, who's the founder of the Wellbeing Foundation. They're saying that we might not have all the answers today, but let's just start by having a conversation around menstruation. Not just the girls, not just the mothers, the aunties, but the fathers, the uncles, the brothers, the people in our society. If you can have a conversation around menstruation, it's a good start. That's all we need, just a good start. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you so much.
Yes, that's it for Morning at NTV. Have a good day.